Hey, rookies, it's the divisional round. Jeff and I are coming to you without video because of bad internet connection that I got here in Kansas. So we're around our divisional round. Hope you had a success. I was 4-3 on my over-unders. Jeff, how'd you do last week?
So I was 5-1 on my money line and only 2-3 on my against the spread.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes rookies it's better to not bet the spread. Sometimes it's better to go with the money, and also sometimes mixing up the parlays too. If you're going to get a line where the odds are pretty high, the money line's pretty high, like above 200. Sometimes it's better to parlay that with something that another sure bet that you think is going to come in, and that can win you some money. All right, no buy teams this week, and it continues with win and go home. No best of three in football. A few thoughts for me based on last week's game. If the place kicker for the Cowboys misses even one this week, there's a much better chance they lose. I don't think the Jags can dig themselves out of a hole this weekend if they put themselves there. And I love what the Giants did to the Vikings, but Philly's defense will not step up and stop Jones on some of those runs. Lastly, the guys working the field did an amazing job in San Francisco. I took a bet on another, the worst case scenario of weather, and it's not 1981 anymore. These fields drain like a sieve, and I don't trust the weather guys basically after that game to talk winds or anything else for that matter. Given the conditions of the field, I should have went over on that game. Jeff, what were your thoughts for this for last week and then this upcoming weekend?
Well, I was certainly impressed again with the resiliency of Jacksonville, but I agree with you. If they try and do that again, they won't run across a team that scores 3 points in the second half. Kansas City will keep going. So I don't think they're going to be able to make up a big deficit in that game. And on the San Francisco side, I was, again, just really impressed with how Brock Purdy's able to manage pressure and, well, game pressure. The only thing we haven't really seen him have is a lot of pass rush pressure. So if that changes against Dallas, maybe the results will change. And then, if Buffalo can't take care of the ball any better than they did, they're going to lose this weekend to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's, even with a banged up offensive line, they're going to score some points. So Buffalo better take care of the ball if they want to win.
Yeah. All right. Well, we kick off Saturday at 3:30 Central Time with the Chiefs hosting the Jags, talking about what you just talked about, Jeff. You and I are in total agreement on this. The Chiefs are not going to go down easy. The Chiefs are favored by 8.5. The over-under is set at 53. The weather will be in the upper 30s at game time with a chance of rain. There will be snow here on Saturday, but the ground crews will have the field looking good for game time. I've been to Arrowhead, and they do a great job. The last game they met was in week 10 at Arrowhead, and the Chiefs had to come back in the second half to win that game 27-17. The Jags covered the 9.5 at that time. And the total went under the 53.5. Went on the money line. I'm not sure 8.5 is something they're going to cover, and I would lean toward the under here, but I'm staying away from the spread. Jeff, what do you think?
I do feel pretty comfortable with the money line for Kansas City. Mahomes and Andy Reid are both really good coming off a bye week. And I think Jacksonville did have a very emotionally draining win last week. So I like Kansas City to come out and take care of business. Like you, I'm a little hesitant to go on the spread. It's a pretty big number. And what I worry about is those, fourth quarter attempting to come back. Jacksonville may close the gap. just enough. So I will probably stay away from the spread and just go Kansas City against on the money line.
Yep, we're in agreement on that one. Hey, Sunday afternoon, the Bills host the Bengals and are favored by 5.5. Well, I'm sorry, I skipped the game.
Philly and New York on Saturday.
Yeah, Philly and New York. My bad. I asked it. Yeah. So, Saturday evening game, the Eagles host the Giants are favored 7.5 with the over/under set at 48. Upper 30s in game time win. No preset, perfect game time temperatures. Nate Johnson is still listed. Hurts is not listed, but based on last week or the week 18, you got to wonder if he's 100%. The Eagles won both these games, one very convincingly the first game, and the second one, no one played, so it's not really a good measure. I like the Eagles here on the money line. I feel like the extra week of rest is going to do them well. I think the defense is going to do a much better job than the Vikings defense did against Jones. I think Saquon Barkley is still going to get his points and he's going to get his yards, but I think where the Eagles are going to be able to shut down Jones, that the Vikings just couldn't shut him down. I also don't think that you're going to see the Giants receivers get open as much as they were against the Vikings. Points, 48 seems too many, but quite frankly, I've seen games where the Eagles have put up 40 points, and they could put up 40 points. They did put up 40 points against the Giants. So if the Giants score 10 or 15 or 10 or 14, then this thing gets over if they go that high. But I'm staying away. Jeff, who do you like?
I like Philly coming off the extra rest, playing at home. It's definitely a hard thing for somebody to come in from the wild card game and beat the team that's had the bye. I do also worry about the 7.5 points because I think you're going to see Jalen Hurts scale back on his running to avoid re-injuring his shoulder or furthering the chest shoulder joint problem. So probably not as much running, which will limit the firepower of Philadelphia. And New York's been just playing better the last 6 weeks of the season. So I think their defense will stand up pretty well. So I'm probably going to go just Philadelphia money line, but if I were going either way, I would probably say under on this one because I think Philly won't be as explosive and New York's defense is better.
Seems like we're in concurrence on both of those this week. Well, I would lean toward did I say the under or the over?
Actually, I don't recall.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning toward the over. I'm leaning toward the over, but I'm not betting it. But I hear what you're saying with Hurts. I didn't actually think about that. That's probably pretty good, guys. I think either way, that's a tough number to bet because it could go way under with two divisional foes off in the playoffs because they know each other, or it could go off the rails. But 48 seems like it's not gonna be close to 48. It's gonna be way over 48 or pretty much under. Opinion. All right, Sunday afternoon, the Bills host the Bengals. They're favored by 5.5 with the over/under at 48 and a hook. This is my game of the week. I think this is the best playoff matchup we have this week. Lots of emotion in this game for sure, based on the regular season game where the Hamlin was hurt. Temps in the low 20s, but no snow in the forecast. Cincinnati did not protect the quarterback well last week and have some injuries on their line. I think both they got a goal that did not practice. But despite the injury, I think they match up well in the secondary. I don't think the Bills have the kind of pass rush that the Ravens had. So I I think despite the fact that the O-line's hurting, I think Joe Burrow is going to have a little bit more time. And so I'm going to lean toward the Bengals to cover. And I'm going to lean toward the over as well. I think this is going to be a pretty explosive game with these two offenses. Jeff?
Yeah, I think the offensive line issues really would have affected them, early in the season when Buffalo had Von Miller, because he could exploit something like that. They don't have that, which I think that's one of the main differences in the first and second half of the season for Buffalo. That and Josh Allen's elbow. So I like Cincinnati to cover. My only question is whether I'm also going to bet them to win or not. I'm a little hesitant, but it's not out of the question. So right now I'm just going Cincinnati plus the 5.5.
Yeah. So you and I are in agreement. I'm going to watch the injury update on those offensive linemen before I make that final decision. I think the Bengals game, if the Bills turn the ball over, as you mentioned earlier, then is going to be very difficult on Buffalo to come back. All right, we finish up the last division play, and they're hosting the Cowboys. 49ers are 4. That was 3.5, but money is coming in on San Fran, and the over is 46. I think part of the reason why that number's moving up is the Cowboys did not entertain bringing in another kicker this week. So they're going to go with the guy that missed 4 extra points. Both teams easily got past their opponents last week, despite the missed points by the Cowboy kicker. The key here is pressure on the quarterback. In fact, the team can bring that pressure, and how that quarterback, whether it's Prescott or Purdy, reacts to that pressure. I think Brock Purdy has been tested, and I think the Cowboys defense has the ability to test him. And then I think we're going to see how he responds. Last year, the 49ers got past the Cowboys to advance. It was that last minute, Dak didn't spike the ball properly. That issue that kind of happened that left a really bad taste in the mouth of the Cowboys. So I'm sure they'd love to come back and get them this year. We grew up watching this rivalry, right? I mean, the immaculate reception. You had games in the 90s when Aikman and Smith would go to, and Irvin would go and beat the 49ers. So, I mean, it's long history of games. So I like the over here. I think they're going to get over the points. I don't have an opinion on the cover. I think it's going to be close.
Got out on me there on that end of that one.
What you got on this one, Jeff? I'm going Cowboys to cover, and I like the over.
So, yeah, I do think this is going to be hard fought because last year it was close and the Cowboys had 12, 13 penalties, which I certainly hope they don't repeat again this year. Plus that bad play at the end of the game by combination Kellen and Dak not executing that last minute spike. So I think it'll be close. I think they will pressure Brock Purdy. The real thing that I think is going to decide this one, and I'm going for the 49ers to win and to cover, I think Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel together with actually Ayuk is the leading receiver for San Francisco this year. So I think the addition of McCaffrey from last year's team is going to cause Dallas more trouble than they had last year. I kind of like your overthought because I think both teams will score more this year than last year. I just think San Francisco, unless for some reason Purdy does revert to a typical rookie quarterback, I think they win by 6-7 points.
All right. Your thoughts before I recap, and if you got any last minute any looking at this week, lay it out.
So I think my biggest number one, it could be a double play, whatever, would be Kansas City with money line. I know that's going to be, 470 odds, but I think that's my safest bet. So I'm definitely taking that one. And then the Cincinnati Buffalo game would probably be my next favorite, with the Cincinnati Bengals covering the spread, not necessarily to win. And then third, I'm going Philly money line. I think they win. I think the extra rest helps, but it will be kept close. And then I would say my least confident pick is the Niners over the Cowboys, just because there's always a chance the rookie quarterback could revert back.
Yeah, I like that. I like pick as well as